Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're going to look at the Samsung Galaxy Stellar on Verizon Wireless. As you might guess, it's an Android phone. Samsung makes it, but the neat thing is you get a lot of good stuff on here, and it's free with contract. Free. Costs you nothing. Just signing up on that 2-year contract. A lot of good stuff you get here. 800 by 480 display, pretty sharp and clear. Latest generation Qualcomm S4 CPU, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and the usual set of features you'd expect to see. We're going to look at it now. The Samsung Galaxy Stellar. Yet another silly name. You know, we just can't escape these adjective, adverb kind of names going on, or random nouns, but it may not be a stellar phone, but it's a free phone. And folks, you get a lot of your money, I have to say, for nothing but the signing up for the 2-year contract thing. This is obviously not a phone for those of you who are looking to plug down your $199 with a 2-year contract for a Samsung Galaxy S3. This is more for folks who are on a budget, or maybe first-time smartphone buyers, want to jump in, but they don't want to spend a whole lot of money first on something they might not want to use. That said, even for you, you middling geeky folks there who want to see some good specs on your phone, but you're tight on a budget, this is not bad at all. You get an 800 by 480 4-inch display. 4-inch display. Sure, it sounds small compared to some of the giant phones on the market, but it's also very pocket and very hand-friendly. So for those of you who don't like those giant screens and big phones, well, this one's a lot more pocketable. It runs Android 4.04 Ice Cream Sandwich, so you're looking at a pretty current operating system there, considering just about nothing is shipping with Jelly Bean 4.1 at this point. Speaking of Jelly Bean, I wouldn't expect to see that upgrade on this phone just because budget phones don't usually get major operating system upgrades. That costs them some money to develop that, and with a phone that's this cheap up front, you probably won't see it. If you are looking to buy a phone off contract cycle, if you're not up for renewal yet, this is $330. That's what it's going to cost you to buy just straight outright. Also pretty affordable. You get a 1.2 gigahertz Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 CPU. That's the same CPU used in the Galaxy S3, just clocked a little slower at 1.2 rather than 1.5 gigahertz. Not bad. You get a gig of RAM, not much internal storage, 1.7 gigs are available for your use, and it does have a micro SD card slot on the side so you can expand that. And you get a couple other goodies. You get dual band Wi-Fi, nice to see on a budget price phone. Bluetooth 4.0, the usual GPS with assisted GPS as well, and front and rear cameras. You have the front camera you can see right up here, and on the very shiny back you can see the 3.2 megapixel shooter, which is not the highlight of this camera. It does not take particularly good shots. But there's the back of the camera, and typical of Samsung, you have very shiny plastics that say, look at me, I am plastic. No hiding that. Has a very faint pattern to the black plastic. It's kind of hard to see unless you're looking real up close, so look at our website to see the pictures of that. Got a speaker hole here. Obviously there's the camera. And on the side we have power button. Up top we have the headphone jack. Volume controls on this side. Micro SD card slot here under a little door. Does not come with one. You can put a card up to 32 gigs in there. And down below we have the micro USB port, little microphone hole. And if you want to take the back off, yes, it is removable. You just grab and yank. And there's our 2100 milliamp battery, pretty good capacity battery. And there is our micro SIM card slot for Verizon's 4G LTE network. And on the front, though this is Android 4, we don't really have to have these capacitive buttons down here. We do have them. It's probably easier for new users. So you can see they're backlit. When you touch the screen, they light up momentarily. 4 of them. Very momentarily there by the default settings. So you've got a menu key, home, back, and your multitasking button. And one of the things that's interesting about this phone is it has a standard Android interface with TouchWiz. That's what we're looking at right now, the usual TouchWiz goodness on here. But if you want, you can switch this over to, well, let's call it newbie mode. And right at the top here we have mode change. And you can choose standard mode or starter mode. And starter mode is pretty nice. I have to say I like it a little bit better than what Pantech's done with some of their phones because it doesn't excessively dumb down the phone. You still get some of Android shining through here. You get your widgets, you get easy contacts. The keypad here as a widget for people who don't know how to hit the phone button, I guess, but it's handy to have that actually available to you. Favorite settings, you get the idea. So it puts more things at your fingertips. And then you've got your little launcher strip down here, and if you tap on apps, you're going to see the same thing you would with the normal interface. So a little maybe simplified for the beginners without actually turning it into something that looks more like a feature phone. That's a good job there by Samsung. One thing that's nice also is if you hop between those two modes, it saves your settings, your widgets, and your preferences and all that for each mode, so you don't have to worry about having it wipe out everything and start you from a vanilla kind of beginning there. In terms of what you get on the phone, it's all the things that you would expect from a Verizon phone. That is some Verizon applications on here and a whole lot of Amazon apps too. Verizon and Amazon have been getting really cozy lately, and that means you have pretty much everything that Amazon offers bundled here. We have the Amazon store here, we have Amazon Kindle, we have Amazon MP3, we even have Zappos on here, IMDb, because guess what, Amazon owns them too, so you get a lot of that stuff on there. However, you know, a lot of people do like Kindle and IMDb. I'm not so sure about having a Zappos app myself, but you also get all the standard things you'd expect on an Android phone here. You get the YouTube player, Google Talk, Chat, Maps. It's all on board. And you get Samsung stuff. So this, in a way, the software experience is a little bit like the Samsung Galaxy S3, and it's nice. You get their new so-called organic sounds, the water drop sound when you're manipulating things here, the cute little whistle sound it makes when you get a new email, that sort of thing. And you've got access to their Media Hub service here and other Samsung services, and we got their memo application. So some of the customized stuff that you've seen on other higher-end Samsung phones, you think, gee, I'd like to have that. Well, you're going to get that here, too, on this free with contract phone. So not bad. Verizon bundles a few games, too. They love Let's Golf Free, so that's on board. We've got Plants vs. Zombies. We've downloaded Dead Trigger ourselves. And you can see here we've got Quick Office. And nice for a free phone. We've got the full version, so we can create documents. It's not just a viewer. So it handles your Word, your Excel, and your PowerPoint. Gallery applications on board for viewing photos and videos. Camera application, but again, the camera, you know, 3.2 megapixels isn't that high resolution, but it's not just about resolution. But that said, this shoots VGA videos and not the sharpest, most beautiful photos that we've ever seen. So if that's important to you, this might not be the phone for you. In terms of speed on synthetic benchmarks, it does well. In Quadrant, we scored 4463, which is pretty good for a Qualcomm S4 CPU. It's one of the fastest CPUs that's available in the US on a smartphone, since we don't get Tegra 3 smartphones, just Tegra 3 tablets, and that has to do with compatibility with LTE chipsets. So even though it's underclocked to 1.2 gigahertz, it's pretty good. On Tutu, it scored 5500, not too bad, not hugely impressive, but again, respectable, what you would expect to see for an S4 processor. And that means that this is a fast and responsive enough phone. It doesn't lag. We haven't any problems playing games, playing videos, any of that kind of thing. It's certainly up to the task, and again, for the price, that's pretty nice. Phone has 4G LTE on Verizon's network, as well as their 3G EVDO Rev-A, and pretty much Samsung standard dialer right there that you can see, big and easy to use. Call quality, I would say, was just average on this phone. Conversations are intelligible, but they're not super loud, full, sharp, and clear. Not bad, not fantastic. Data speeds have been quite good on Verizon's LTE network. You can see our last three results right here. So data speeds are quite good. Right here at the bottom, we were in a very signal-challenged town that barely has any LTE service at all, and that's why that number was lower. So if you're in a very marginal area, you'll still get semi-decent speeds there on LTE. And again, it does fall back to 3G EVDO Rev-A for those of you who are not in a Verizon LTE coverage area, but Verizon has certainly most metro areas pretty well blanketed at this point with LTE. The display itself is sharp, it's clear, it's 800 by 480, so you know that used to be a couple of years ago the high end for smartphones. Now it would be considered the low end, but it's certainly enough pixels to make web browsing and working with Office documents pretty comfortable and doable. Not the brightest display that we've seen, however. It's certainly adequate for indoor use, but outdoors it's pretty hard to see the display. And we'll check out the web browser, see how it does, and over to landscape mode, and we'll visit our own website, Mobile Tech Review. And you can see what Samsung's on-screen keyboard looks like here. And we're doing this over LTE, so that's pretty good. Load times, certainly respectable enough. Smooth, and this is a full desktop site. Good scrolling speeds. You can play HTML5 video. We'll check out our video review of the Motorola Droid Razr M and play the YouTube video. And speaker volume is not super duper loud on this phone.
This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're looking
At
at
3/4 volume, it starts to get pretty good.
Verizon. This is Motorola's latest smartphone.
Playing just fine on Verizon's LTE network.
It's only $99. Obviously, there's no capacity.
And so we've got it out to full screen so you can see what it's like. Still going over Verizon's 4G network. Works just fine.
Ice cream sandwich convention. I expect that Motorola will continue to go.
And now to test out gaming, we're playing Dead Trigger. Kind of gruesome game, but hey, it's free on the Android Google Play Store, so. Dead Trigger is a very advanced and demanding 3D game, so it's also a great test of smartphone's capability to play games and to render 3D. And it did things just fine. So that's the Samsung Galaxy Stellar, free on contract, available now. Actually a lot of phone for the money. Not too bad looking. Definitely powerful enough to handle most tasks that you throw at it. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.